Okay, so this one is going to be about homebrewing stuff, and I will be invoking the power of real-world examples. So, in the Ugliest Man Alive campaign that I talk about relatively frequently, my Dragonborn Samurai just leveled up to level 6, and if I haven't mentioned it before, in that campaign, the way we handle feats is when you reach an ASI level, you get your ASI, and you get a feat. It makes for some pretty strong characters, but it also takes a little bit of the pressure off, feat selection and how important ASIs are, because in a lot of cases, if a player is even mildly optimal, or, I guess that's the right word, the mildly optimization minded, then a lot of the time a +1 to attack rolls or a +1 to constitution or an extra point of AC is simply too powerful to pass up, even if a feat is super fun. And it makes it even harder to take the crappy feats. Something like, what do you call it? What's a crappy feat? Weapon Master? That's an actually detrimental feat, sorry. Like a feat like, Chef. It's not great. It's like not even character defining or playstyle defining. It's like a cool thing, but that's about it. And there's no reason to take it. But if you get a free feat at all ASIs, you might consider taking it. It wouldn't be so bad. And I think I kind of like this version of it better, because in Site 27, instead what I did was, I'm getting off track. I'm getting way off track. I'll finish this thought. But in that campaign, instead to help people take feats faster and, get their character to where they want it to be faster, instead we did power rolling, and you get a free feat at level 1. So your stats are generally higher, and so theoretically it should be easier to take feats instead, but that doesn't really solve the problem, I think. So I like what we're doing for Ugliest Man Alive instead. Anyway, so for this Dragonborn, this Samurai, DM and I have been going back and forth, kind of designing or talking about taking a like Iaido, like Iaido quick draw style feat, just to support this character, because one, it's cool, and I could just make it flavor. Like, I think I made a video a while ago talking about this. Like, it could just be flavor stuff. But I think having like a big mechanical something has a bigger impact on the game. Flavor's free and all, but if you can make something mechanical and there's room in the rules, you might as well. And the other factor is, this character is mostly using swords. He'll eventually have a greatsword, but right now he's using a longsword. And for those that don't know, longsword is possibly one of the worst weapons, like the worst single, well, like the 3 versatile weapons. The longsword, battle axe, and like warhammer. For most characters, if you're optimal, like, there's no reason to use this. It's just not really a good idea. It doesn't do a whole lot, because you can't combine it with Great Weapon Master, Sharpshooter, Crossbow Expert, Polearm Master. You can't combine it with all those really good martial character defining damage feats. So, by designing this kind of Iaido thingy, it's kind of bridging that gap, and it's filling that that void and upping this character's damage to where that should be. Now, if you play in a table that isn't super optimized, and there isn't a barbarian using Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, reckless attacking and doing power attacks on all 3 hits to do like a total of what is, if all 3 attacks hit, that's like an easy 50-something damage. Easy. At like level 5. Just per turn for free. So, if you don't have characters that are like going for that, then you're not going to feel that difference that much. But you can homebrew some stuff in to kind of bridge that gap, if that is the case. But that's the other factor, like how powerful should this feat do, and what should it do? We know the flavor of it. It supports a Iaido quick draw style stuff kind of thing. And a lot of the time in the fiction and fantasy you're trying to emulate here, a lot of those characters that are using this style, it's portrayed as, there's that bit of that like classic samurai standoff where the one character has their sword in the sheath, their hand on the blade, and as soon as one of them makes a mistake, the blade comes out and is put away almost as quickly. Like, just blade comes out, wipe off the blood, put it away, then the other guy goes, and gets cut. Classic. So how do you emulate that? Well, some of the things we've determined and agreed upon as of last time I remember. Basically, anytime that the sword is in a sheathed position, you can, as a bonus action, do an Iaido strike. And you get some sort of bonus to hit. I don't know if it was advantage or if it was, like you add your charisma to it. Like, there's a lot of different ideas we threw back and forth, but you get some kind of bonus to hit. And you also get some kind of bonus to damage. So this is a more accurate, more powerful attack than normal, and it's an additional attack that you use as a bonus action. Then, once it's drawn, the sword is just drawn. And then, when it's in a drawn state, which these are kind of rules that we're now determining for the purpose of this feat. Because normally a weapon, like, weapons are only considered either like held or stowed. Like they're in your bag, or they're in the sheath, or they're at your belt, and they're not in your hand. So this needs slightly more definition that you have to then build into the feat and into the language. But I think it's so you can do that as a bonus action when it's sheathed, and you're like, and technically you're going to equip it. So you draw the weapon as part of the bonus action attack you make. Extra damage, extra to hit, somehow. And then it's just drawn and you fight normally. And then there's to stow it again, it either costs... Now, technically you can stow it as a free object interaction, and then you could just do this again, which makes this really annoyingly powerful, because the limitation is supposed to be that you have to somehow stow the blade to get it into that stance again. So, how do you rectify that? Well, maybe you can technically stow it as a bonus action, but then you can't fully enter that stance on that same turn. Like, maybe that costs an object interaction. You have to prep the stance. So if you stow it as an object interaction, then you can't ready the stance as an object interaction. Something like that. So the other ideas we had are, when you kill a target with an attack with this weapon, you can then stow and ready the stance for free as part of the attack you make that kills a target. Think of, you kill someone, blade flourish, put the sword away, and then you have your stance ready, and you can move on to the next target. Or, in some cases, because in a lot of combats that's going to be good. Like, you're fighting a bunch of, there's some minions and stuff, there's guys that will go down, and you can just kill them and get your quick strike back. Quick draw, quick strike, Iaido strike, lots of names. You can kill one guy, or when you do kill a guy, you get that ready again and you get your attack again. But what do you do if you're fighting one monster that has like 700 hit points? You get to use this ability one time, and that's it. Unless you then, you make your attacks you, like, one round, you make your attacks, and then at the end of that round, at the end of your turn, you stow the blade. Then when your next turn comes around, your object, you can use your object interaction again to then prep it. Then you can make your bonus action. Now the problem with that is, of course, you have to, what do you call it? Then, like, you only get to do your bonus action quick draw strike effectively once every other turn, every, like, 3 turns. Because, like, you know, so turn 1, you do the bonus action attack, and then you make your normal attacks. Next turn, you make your normal attacks, then you stow the blade as an object interaction. Then the third turn, you quick draw strike and make your attacks. But then you can't do it. So yeah, it's like every other or every third turn, it's something. That, like, works, but maybe it's a little, I don't know if I want to call it clumsy, but maybe inelegant. Because it's like, okay, object interaction, get ready, do this, and then next turn you can do the thing. It might be okay if you have to do that, but another option would be you can use a bonus action to sheath it. So effectively, if you do that, then it would be every other turn you can make an Iaido strike. And this also would, of course, conflict with any other bonus actions you want to use. Because, like, let's say, you know, first turn, you make Iaido strike, make your attacks. Your normal attacks. This is attacks. You Iaido strike as a bonus action, make your attacks. Then, turn 2, you make your attacks, and then you sheath the weapon. Then let's say you get hit by something. Third turn, it's a toss-up between, do you want to Iaido strike again? Or do you want to use Second Wind? Partially because this character is a fighter, so he has bonus actions to use. But if he wasn't a fighter, this would be less of a consideration. Like if he were a paladin, he doesn't have bonus actions to use, really. So it's not that big of an issue. But if you do have bonus actions, then this is a stronger consideration, which is part of the design. You're designing it with one particular character in mind. If I were designing this for a paladin, then the design might be different. But anyway, so this character, so like on that third turn, it's a toss-up. Do I want to heal myself with Second Wind? Do I want to do the Iaido strike? And then, like, what if I don't survive next turn or something? You know, there's considerations to make, which I think is interesting, because you want to give meaningful choices to make. Which, likewise, it's also something else that I considered as part of the design was, if you're in this Iaido stance, because you have to define it like as a stance that you can enter in certain ways, if maybe copy the Polearm Master feature, like when someone comes into your range, you can make your Iaido strike as a reaction. That can be good, but that does have implications. You could always pair it with another feat like Sentinel and blah, 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 or it conflicts with reactions that character might already have, which a while ago he got a magic item that lets him basically do, like raises AC as a reaction, gain resistance to certain types of damage as a reaction. He already has defensive reactions to use. So either, you know, he's already doing those things. So maybe adding another option is, as a conflicting option that you have to choose between, maybe that's good. Maybe you want to give those varying options, because, you know, options are good. You want your players to be able to do a wide variety of things. Like, okay, this turn, I'm just going to attack, and then I'm actually going to Second Wind. I'm not going to prep Iaido stance. You know, there's options there, and it depends, and that factors into the fantasy that this type of feature would build. And then another thought that I had for this feat was to kind of replicate that like samurai standoff type thing. And it would be something like the initial idea I had was something along the lines of when you are in this stance and you enter into hostile range with a target. And I would define it as, instead of them entering your range, when you're both in each other's range, when you're fully engaged with a target, which that's language 5e kind of lacks. But so when you're fully engaged with a target, you can then force the target to make a contested, like, charisma check with you. Whose fighting will is stronger? I don't know if charisma would be better for this. Maybe wisdom would be better. You know, maybe you just make a weapon check, which is basically just an attack roll. Like, make competing attack rolls, and whoever wins the thing. Maybe that could be simpler. So there's options there. But then what happens if, like, when you win that, well, first of all, if you lose, maybe the opponent just gets a free attack on you. I guess that's fine. Like, especially if it's a free thing you can just do, then them just being able to attack you makes sense. But then if you win, then you get to make the Iaido strike. Something along those lines. And then you can add something to it. But so that was an initial idea I had. And I don't know if that would just cost a reaction. Maybe it would cost nothing. Because you could lose the interaction. I don't know. And then, actually, come to think of it, another portion of this feature, there's a lot going on, would be like the kind of, to replicate that kind of like instant death. You cut a guy and he's just dead. He's just done. That portion of the feature. How do you replicate that? Well, these friggin' trash cans. So, like, to replicate that portion of the feature, some talks we had were to do stuff like, what do you call it? Just back in real quick. Like, to replicate that kind of idea, maybe they have to make a con save or a charisma save. You know, they have to make some kind of save. They have to be, like, maybe below a certain health threshold. Either, like, below a quarter or below a certain value or both, so that it make, like, whichever is lower, I guess, or whichever is higher, so that, mostly worded so that it would still work on minions and, like, big bosses effectively. Because if it's, like, if they got to be below, like, 15 health, well, that can kind of matter for, like, normal enemies, but for, like, a big boss that has, like, 400 health anyway, being able to insta-kill it at 15, when it's down to 15 HP, that's not that far off from just dying anyway. So, you know, but, like, a kind of instant death hit, that's cool. That's really tricky to balance, but it's a cool idea. It's also probably, no, I like that portion of the feat, but if it's going to drag down the rest of it, I'm okay with, like, getting rid of it. But I definitely want to try to make it work. I think I'm less tied to, like, the samurai standoff kind of portion, but if that portion is a reaction, then I like that. Especially because you can potentially lose that interaction and then get hit and then provoke an attack of opportunity, essentially. So, yeah, that's some thoughts on it. And all of those things affect how it's going to be used. Like, if you can do attacks as a reaction, then that's really good for certain types of characters that don't have use for their reaction. Basically, you want to fill in, you can use it to fill in actions they can't already do, or you can fill in places where they already do have actions they can do so that it competes with them, which both I think are interesting choices. The competition angle is probably more interesting. Yeah, that's just some thoughts on this concept that, continuing from that video I had a while ago. Yeah,